Hello, my name is Abby Iglesias, and I will be doing my time period analysis on women's rights, and I will be discussing on how the women's suffrage movement happened and how it affected us today. But before we get into that, I would like to discuss how women were treated before all these rights. So, before any of this happened, women weren't guaranteed rights. They weren't equal as men. They didn't have a say, they didn't have an opinion on anything. Economically, politically, socially, women did not have a say at all. They weren't even able to say who they wanted in their government like we are today. We're able to do that. But back then, they weren't able to do that. And men just didn't think women were as superior as them, as white men. They only thought women were supposed to stay in the house. They thought that they were only supposed to clean, cook, take care of their families, take care of their husband after they came back from a hard day at work. But no, that's not what every woman wants. That's not how we think. Everyone has a different perspective. Some women want to be independent. They want to do it on their own. And so they went to go get jobs. But there weren't as many jobs for women back then. There was, like, for example, nursing or teaching. And even if they did get a job, they weren't as paid as well. They had a very low wage compared to men. And it didn't cut it. So women obviously had to depend on a guy because they were the only ones making as much money and to take care of them. As you can see in my images, you could see these women cooking, cleaning, having the babies around, taking care of them. And on my far right corner, this woman is teaching a classroom full of boys because women weren't even able to go to school, which is why they were less educated than men. But women actually wanted to get an education, and even from today, they're smarter. They're smarter than men because women actually, when they put their mindset to something, they do it. And we take advantage of it today. But back then, they weren't able to do any of that. They weren't able to go out. They weren't able to do anything or vote. So finally, in the 1820s, they thought to make a movement. They thought it was their time to stand up and have a voice, which led to the women's suffrage movement. So one of the most important females in this movement was Elizabeth Cady Stanton. She was an activist and she was a philosopher. She had gotten married, and her and husband went to an anti-slavery convention in London, but unfortunately the convention didn't allow women. They just didn't. And I believe at that time Elizabeth was just done. She said this is it, and she started the movement with a few other, and even men decided to get into this movement. They believed that women deserved the equal rights that men had, and not only just women, but African American men and women. She just wanted everyone to be equal. We're all human beings. We might not have the same skin tone, we might not look the same, we might not be the same height, but we're all the same. And she just wanted everyone to be as superior as white men. That she didn't want them to be on top. And that's why she created this movement. She wanted women to be the same. We're humans too. We might not be as strong as men, but we can do whatever a man can do. And she didn't just stop there. She wanted women to be able to have the same job opportunities. She wanted to reform the marriage and divorce laws. She wanted them to have more education and go to school, be able to do what they want, which is why she continued in doing this. This lady had such a huge impact on so many people. As you can see in all my images in my slides, you can see the movement starting, votes for women, international, and they even had a song about it. And I mean, there was many others that were in this movement that were very important as well. Like, for instance, you can see in my fourth slide is I put images showing how the women, even men, marching down the streets with posters saying to give women rights, telling the president to give them rights. And these men were even supporting their wives, and Elizabeth and so many others had such a huge impact on this movement. Us women wouldn't even be able to do what we do today. And they even had a song for it, which was called Daughters of Freedom. And it changed so much. And once women were able to vote, it changed so many lives. They were so happy. They were able to do what they've always wanted to do. And they were able to go to school, they were able to get jobs, and as you can see in the graphs, that for education, women went up. They passed the men in education because they took advantage of that once they were able to do it. And women, they're happier. They're able to be independent. They're able to get the jobs they want. They're able to educate their kids and tell them that they had made history, the women back then. And now we're able to join the army. We're able to graduate college. We're able to make it on our own. We don't have to depend on a man. And this movement is so important to me and every other woman on this planet, because without this movement, we wouldn't be able to do what we do today. And it had made such a huge impact, and I will never forget this movement. It was so interesting to learn about, and I can say that I'm able to do what I want to do and make my family proud and be able to depend on myself and no other man.